चेक करूं उन्हें?
मैं मैसेज कर देता हूँ।
हैं वो उसमें, उस दूसरे ग्रुप में हैं, वो आ जाएंगे। अस्तगफार ग्रुप में है।
इस्तिगफार है वैसे।
चलो आवाज आ रही
जी, इस्तगफार।
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to group recitation of Holy Quran. Inshallah, we'll start with the recitation of the second juz. I would request our young reciter Rayan Alidina to start us off. Rayan, go ahead.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم سيقول السفهاء من الناس ما ولاهم عن قبلتهم التي كانوا عليها قل لله المشرق والمغرب يهدي من يشاء إلى صراط مستقيم وكذلك جعلناكم أمة وسطا لتكونوا شهداء على الناس ويكون الرسول عليكم شهيدا وما جعلنا القبلة التي كنت عليها إلا لنعلم من يتبع الرسول ممن ينقلب على عقبيه وإن كانت لكبرية إلا على الذين هدى الله وما كان الله ليضيع إيمانكم إن الله بالناس لرؤوف رحيم قد نرى تقلب وجهك في السماء فلنولينك قبلة ترضاها فول وجهك شطر المسجد الحرام وحيث ما كنتم فولوا وجوهكم شطره وإن الذين أوتوا الكتاب ليعلمون أنه الحق من ربهم وما الله بغافل عما يعملون ولئن أتيت الذين أوتوا الكتاب بكل آية ما تبعوا قبلتك وما أنت بتابع قبلتهم وما بعضهم بتابع قبلة بعض ولئن اتبعت أهواءهم من بعد ما جاءك من العلم إنك إذا لمن الظالمين الذين آتيناهم الكتاب يعرفونه كما يعرفون أبناءهم وإن فريقا منهم ليكتمون الحق وهم يعلمون الحق من ربك فلا تكونن من الممترين ولكل وجهة هو موليها فاستبقوا الخيرات أينما تكونوا يأت بكم الله جميعا إن الله على كل شيء قدير ومن حيث خرجت فول وجهك شطر المسجد الحرام وإنه للحق من ربك وما الله بغافل عما تعملون ومن حيث خرجت فول وجهك شطر المسجد الحرام وحيث ما كنتم فولوا وجوهكم شطره لئلا يكون للناس عليكم حجة إلا الذين ظلموا منهم فلا تخشوهم واخشوني ولأتم نعمتي عليكم ولعلكم تهتدون كما أرسلنا فيكم رسولا منكم يتلو عليكم آياتنا ويزكيكم ويعلمكم الكتاب والحكمة ويعلمكم ما لم تكونوا تعلمون فاذكروني أذكركم واشكروا لي ولا تكفرون يا أيها الذين آمنوا استعينوا بالصبر والصلاة إن الله مع الصابرين ولا تقولوا لمن يقتل في سبيل الله أموات بل أحياء ولكن لا تشعرون ولنبلونكم بشيء من الخوف والجوع ونقص من الأموال والأنفس والثمرات وبشر الصابرين الذين إذا أصابتهم مصيبة قالوا إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون أولئك عليهم صلاة من ربهم ورحمة
صلوات،
وأولئك
أولئك
هم
عليهم صلوات.
المهتدون. إن الصفا والمروة من شعائر الله فمن حج البيت أو اعتمر فلا جناح عليه أن يطوف بهما ومن تطوع خيرا فإن الله شاكر عليم. إن الذين يكتمون ما أنزلنا من البينات والهدى من بعد ما بيناه للناس في الكتاب أولئك يلعنهم الله ويلعنهم اللاعنون إلا الذين تابوا وأصلحوا وبينوا فأولئك أتوب عليهم وأنا التواب الرحيم. إن الذين كفروا وماتوا وهم كفار أولئك عليهم لعنة الله والملائكة والناس أجمعين خالدين فيها لا يخفف عنهم العذاب ولا هم ينظرون وإلهكم إله واحد لا إله إلا هو الرحمن الرحيم. إن في خلق السماوات والأرض واختلاف الليل والنهار والفلك التي تجري في البحر بما ينفع الناس وما أنزل الله من السماء من ماء فأحيا به الأرض بعد موتها وبث فيها من كل دابة وتصريف الرياح والسحاب المسخر بين السماء والأرض لآيات لقوم يعقلون. ومن الناس من يتخذ من دون الله أندادا يحبونهم كحب الله والذين آمنوا أشد حبا لله ولو يرى الذين ظلموا إذ يرون العذاب أن القوة لله جميعا وأن الله شديد العذاب. إذ تبرأ الذين اتبعوا من الذين اتبعوا ورأوا العذاب وتقطعت بهم الأسباب وقال الذين اتبعوا لو أن لنا كرة فنتبرأ منهم كما تبرأوا منا كذلك يريهم الله أعمالهم حسرات عليهم وما هم بخارجين من النار. يا أيها الناس كلوا مما في الأرض حلالا طيبا ولا تتبعوا خطوات الشيطان إنه لكم عدو مبين. إنما يأمركم بالسوء والفحشاء وأن تقولوا على الله ما لا تعلمون. وإذا قيل لهم اتبعوا ما أنزل الله قالوا بل نتبع ما ألفينا عليه آباءنا أو لو كان آباؤهم لا يعقلون شيئا ولا يهتدون. ومثل الذين كفروا كمثل الذي ينعق بما لا يسمع إلا دعاء ونداء صم بكم عمي فهم لا يعقلون. يا أيها الذين آمنوا كلوا من طيبات ما رزقناكم واشكروا لله إن كنتم إياه تعبدون. إنما حرم عليكم الميتة والدم ولحم الخنزير وما أهل به لغير الله فمن اضطر غير باغ ولا عاد فلا إثم عليه إن الله غفور رحيم إن الذين يكتمون ما أنزل الله من الكتاب ويشترون به ثمنا قليلا أولئك ما يأكلون في بطونهم إلا النار ولا يكلمهم الله يوم القيامة ولا يزكيهم ولهم عذاب أليم أولئك الذين اشتروا الضلالة بالهدى والعذاب بالمغفرة فما أصبرهم على النار ذلك بأن الله نزل الكتاب بالحق وإن الذين اختلفوا في الكتاب لفي شقاق بعيد
Asantum.
العلي العظيم.
Asantum. Very good, mashallah. That was Rayan reciting for us, and I would request online Shabazz bhai to go ahead and start off.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ليس البر أن تولوا وجوهكم قبل المشرق والمغرب ولكن البر من آمن بالله واليوم الآخر والملائكة والكتاب والنبيين وآتى المال على حبه ذوي القربى واليتامى والمساكين وابن السبيل والسائلين وفي الرقاب وأقام الصلاة وآتى الزكاة والموفون بعهدهم إذا عاهدوا والصابرين في البأساء والضراء وحين الباس أولئك الذين صدقوا وأولئك هم المتقون يا أيها الذين آمنوا كتب عليكم القصاص في القتلى الحر بالحر والعبد بالعبد والأنثى بالأنثى فمن أوفي له من أخيه شيء فاتباع بالمعروف وأداء إليه بإحسان ذلك تخفيف من ربكم ورحمة فمن اعتدى بعد ذلك فله عذاب
له नहीं फल्लहू
فله
ला नहीं पढ़ सकते फल्लहू
فمن اعتدى بعد ذلك فله عذاب أليم ولكم في القصاص حياة يا أولي الألباب لعلكم تتقون كتب عليكم إذا حضر أحدكم الموت إن ترك خيرا الوصية للوالدين والأقربين بالمعروف حقا على المتقين ومن بدله بعد ما سمعه ومن بدله بعد ما سمعه فإنما اسمه على الذين يبدلون إن الله سميع عليم فمن خاف من موص جنافا أو إثما فأصلح بينهم فلا إثم عليه إن الله غفور رحيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون أياما معدودات فمن كان منكم مريضا أو على سفر فعدة من أيام أخر وعلى الذين يطيقونه فدية طعام مسكين ومن تطوع خيرا فهو خير له وأن تصوموا خير لكم إن كنتم تعلمون شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن هدى للناس وبينات من الهدى والفرقان فمن شاهد منكم الشهر فليصمه ومن كان مريضا أو على سفر فعدة من أيام أخر يريد الله بكم اليسر ولا يريد بكم العسر ولتكملوا العدة ولتكبروا الله على ما هداكم ولعلكم تشكرون وإذا سألك عبادي عني فإني قريب أجيب دعوة الداعي إذ دعاني فليستجيبوا أجيب دعوة الداعي إذا دعاني فليستجيبوا لي وليؤمنوا بي لعلهم يرشدون
एक
أهل
सेकंड यहाँ रुकेगा जरा मैं थोड़ी सी तौज़ीह दूँ. I can just explain very briefly that these ayat that you see from ayat number 183, 184, and then 185, they are directly in reference to the month of Ramadan and the fasting of the month of Ramadan. That it begins, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu kutiba alaykumus siyam, that all those who believe that fasting is indeed has been prescribed upon you the way it was prescribed for the people that lived before you, so that you may be God weary. And then that for the known days, ayyaman ma'dudat, but should any of you are sick or on a journey, let it be a similar number of days that you should go ahead and make up that fast. So therefore, there's this, we explained this concept as well last night, how this exception is given to those who are marid and those who are traveling. In another time, they should make up. And then وَعَلَى الَّذِينَ يُطِيقُونَهُ فِدْيَةٌ. And then those who find, straining shall be liable for atonement as well by feeding a needy person. Should any of you do good on his accord, that is better for him, and that fast is better for you, should you know. And then the next ayat is something which I explained last night as well in our discussion, which begins by mentioning the name of the month of Ramadan, Shahr Ramadan. So up until this point, the name was not mentioned, only fasting was mentioned. Now it says Shahr Ramadan, the month of Ramadan, in which Quran was revealed, and whoever witnesses the month, that means sees the crescent, or finds out by any means that the month has begun, he should start fasting, except for those who are, again, marid or who are traveling. Because Allah only wants what? Ease for you. He does not want any difficulty for you. لَعَلَّكُمْ تَشْكُرُونَ, so that you may go ahead and be, you may go ahead and be thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then next ayat is, sort of changes the discussion, but it is an important ayah in reference to dua. وَإِذَا سَأَلَكَ عِبَادِي عَنِّي فَإِنِّي قَرِيبٌ. And O Prophet, whenever my servant asks you regarding me, then tell him, I'm close. أُجِيبُ دَعْوَةَ الدَّاعِ إِذَا دَعَانِ. I respond to his call when he makes dua. So therefore, there's a condition here that you must make the dua in order for Allah to what? Respond to your dua. فَلْيَسْتَجِيبُوا لِي وَلْيُؤْمِنُوا بِي لَعَلَّهُمْ يَرْشُدُونَ. Therefore, so let them respond to me and let them have faith in me so that they may be righteous. Here we see the concept how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is explaining this importance of dua, especially that too in the month of Ramadan. Go ahead, continue, Shabazz bhai.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم أهل لكم ليلة الصيام الرفث إلى نسائكم هن لباس لكم وأنتم لباس لهن علم الله أنكم كنتم تختنون أنفسكم فتاب عليكم وعفى عنكم فالآن باشروهن وابتغوا ما كتب الله لكم وكلوا واشربوا حتى يتبين لكم الخيط الأبيض من الخيط الأسود من الفجر ثم أتموا الصيام إلى الليل ولا تباشروهن وأنتم عاكفون في المساجد تلك حدود الله فلا تقربوها وذلك يبين الله آياته للناس لعلهم يتقون ولا تأكلوا أموالكم بينكم بالباطل وتدلوا بها إلى الحكام لتأكلوا فريق من أموال الناس بالإثم فريقا من الأموال الناس بالإثم وأنتم تعلمون يسألونك عن الأهلة قل هي مواقيت للناس والحج وليس البر بأن تأتوا البيوت من ظهورها ولكن البر من اتقى وأتوا البيوت من أبوابها واتقوا الله لعلكم تفلحون وقاتلوا في سبيل الله الذين يقاتلونكم ولا تعتدوا إن الله لا يحب المعتدين واقتلوهم حيث ثقفتموهم وأخرجوهم من حيث أخرجوكم والفتنة أشد من القتل ولا تقاتلوهم من المسجد الحرام حتى يقاتلوكم فيه فإن قاتلوكم فاقتلوهم وذلك جزاء الكافرين وإن انتهوا فإن الله غفور رحيم وقاتلهم حتى لا تكون فتنة ويكون الدين لله فإن انتهوا فلا عدوان إلا على الظالمين الشهر الحرام بالشهر الحرام والحرمات قصاص ومن اعتدى عليكم فاعتدوا عليه بمثل ما اعتدى عليكم واتقوا الله واعلموا أن الله مع المتقين وأنفقوا في سبيل الله ولا تلقوا بأيديكم إلى التهلكات وأحسنوا إن الله يحب المحسنين وأتموا الحج والعمرة لله وإن أحسرتم فما استيسر من الهدي ولا تهلكوا رؤوسكم حتى يبلغ الهدي محله ومن كان منكم مريضا أو به أذى من رأسه ففدية من صيام أو صدقات أو نسك وإذا أمنتم ومن تمتع بالعمرات إلى الحج فما استيسر من الهدي فمن لم يجد فصيام ثلاثة أيام في الحج وسبعة إذا رجعتم تلك أشهرات كاملة ذلك لمن لم يكن أهله حاضر المسجد الحرام واتقوا الله واعلموا أن الله شديد العقاب الحج أشهر معلومات فمن فرض فيهن الحج فلا رفث ولا فسوق ولا جدال في الحج وما تفعلوا من خير يعلمه الله وتزودوا فإن خير الزاد التقوى واتقون يا أولي الألباب ليس عليكم جناح أن تبتغوا فضلا من ربكم وإذا أفضتم من عرفات فاذكروا الله عند المشعر الحرام واذكروه كما هداكم وإن كنتم من قبله لمن الضالين ثم أفيدوا من حيث أفد الناس أفد الناس أفاد الناس واستغفروا الله إن الله غفور رحيم وإذا قضيتم مناسككم فاذكروا الله كذكركم آباءكم أو أشد ذكرا فمن الناس من يقول من الناس من يقول ربنا آتنا في الدنيا وما له في الآخرة من خلاق ومنهم من يقول ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار صدق الله العلي العظيم.
Jazakumullah khair. If I can request Heather Bhai to start from where you left off, inshallah. Heather Bhai.
जी
Go ahead.
202
أولئك لهم نصيب مما.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم أولئك لهم نصيب مما كسبوا والله سريع الحساب واذكروا الله في أيام معدودات فمن تعجل في يومين فلا إثم عليه ومن تأخر فلا إثم عليه لمن اتقى واتقوا الله واعلموا أنكم إليه تحشرون ومن الناس من يعجبك قوله في الحياة الدنيا ويشهد الله على ما في قلبه وهو ألد الخصام وإذا تولى سعى في الأرض ليفسد فيها ويهلك الحرث والنسل والله لا يحب الفساد وإذا قيل له اتق الله أخذته العزة بالإثم فحسبه جهنم ولبئس المهاد ومن الناس من يشري نفسه ابتغاء مرضات الله والله رؤوف بالعباد يا أيها الذين آمنوا ادخلوا في السلم كافة ولا تتبعوا خطوات الشيطان إنه لكم عدو مبين فإن زللتم من بعد ما جاءتكم البينات فاعلموا أن الله عزيز حكيم هل ينظرون إلا أن يأتيهم الله في ظلل من الغمام والملائكة وقضي الأمر وإلى الله ترجع الأمور سل بني إسرائيل كم آتيناهم من آية بينة ومن يبدل نعمة الله من بعد ما جاءته فإن الله شديد العقاب زين للذين كفروا الحياة الدنيا ويسخرون من الذين آمنوا والذين اتقوا فوقهم يوم القيامة والله يرزق من يشاء بغير حساب كان الناس أمة واحدة فبعث الله النبيين مبشرين ومنذرين وأنزل معهم وأنزل معهم الكتاب بالحق ليحكم بين الناس فيما اختلفوا فيه وما اختلف فيه إلا الذين أوتوه من بعد ما جاءتهم البينات بغيا بينهم فهدى الله الذين آمنوا لما اختلفوا فيه من الحق بإذنه والله يهدي من يشاء إلى صراط مستقيم أم حسبتم أن تدخلوا الجنة ولما يأتكم مثل الذين خلوا من قبلكم مستهم البأساء والضراء وزلزلوا حتى يقول الرسول والذين آمنوا معه متى نصر الله ألا إن نصر الله قريب يسألونك ماذا ينفقون قل ما أنفقتم من خير فللوالدين والأقربين واليتامى والمساكين وابن السبيل وما تفعلوا من خير فإن الله به عليم كتب عليكم القتال وهو كره لكم وعسى أن تكرهوا شيئا وهو خير لكم وعسى أن تحبوا شيئا وهو شر لكم والله يعلم وأنتم لا تعلمون يسألونك عن الشهر الحرام قتال فيه قل قتال فيه كبير وصد عن سبيل الله وكفر به والمسجد الحرام وإخراج أهله منه أكبر عند الله والفتنة أكبر من القتل ولا يزالون يقاتلونكم حتى يردوكم عن دينكم إن استطاعوا ومن يرتد منكم عن دينه فيمت وهو كافر فأولئك حبطت أعمالهم في الدنيا والآخرة وأولئك أصحاب النار هم فيها خالدون إن الذين آمنوا والذين هاجروا وجاهدوا في سبيل الله أولئك يرجون رحمة الله والله غفور رحيم يسألونك عن الخمر والميسر قل فيهما إثم كبير ومنافع للناس وإثمهما أكبر من نفعهما ويسألونك ماذا ينفقون قل العفو كذلك يبين الله لكم الآيات لعلكم تتفكرون في الدنيا والآخرة ويسألونك عن اليتامى قل إصلاح لهم خير وإن تخالطوهم فإخوانكم والله يعلم المفسد من المصلح ولو شاء الله لأعنتكم إن الله عزيز حكيم ولا تنكحوا المشركات حتى يؤمن ولا أمة مؤمنة خير من مشركة ولو أعجبتكم ولا تنكحوا المشركين حتى يؤمنوا ولعبد مؤمن خير من مشرك ولو أعجبكم أولئك يدعون إلى النار والله يدعو إلى الجنة والمغفرة بإذنه ويبين آياته للناس لعلهم يتذكرون ويسألونك عن المحيض قل هو أذى فاعتزلوا النساء في المحيض ولا تقربوهن حتى يطهرن فإذا تطهرن فأتوهن من حيث أمركم الله إن الله يحب التوابين ويحب المتطهرين نساؤكم حرث لكم فأتوا حرثكم أن شئتم وقدموا لأنفسكم واتقوا الله واعلموا أنكم ملاقوه وبشر المؤمنين ولا تجعلوا الله عرضة لأيمانكم أن تبروا وتتقوا وتصلحوا بين الناس والله سميع عليم. لا يؤاخذكم الله باللغو في أيمانكم ولكن يؤاخذكم بما كسبت قلوبكم والله غفور حليم. للذين يؤلون من نسائهم تربص 4 أشهر فإن فاءوا فإن الله غفور رحيم. وإن عزموا الطلاق فإن الله سميع عليم. والمطلقات يتربصن بأنفسهن 3 قروء ولا يحل لهن أن يكتمن ما خلق الله في أرحامهن إن كن يؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر وبعولتهن أحق بردهن في ذلك إن أرادوا إصلاحا ولهن مثل الذي عليهن بالمعروف وللرجال عليهن درجة والله عزيز حكيم. الطلاق 2 فإمساك بمعروف أو تسريح بإحسان ولا يحل لكم أن تأخذوا مما آتيتموهن شيئا إلا أن يخافا ألا يقيما حدود الله فإن خفتم ألا يقيما حدود الله فلا جناح عليهما فيما افتدت به تلك حدود الله فلا تعتدوها ومن يتعد حدود الله فأولئك هم الظالمون. فإن طلقها فلا تحل له من بعد حتى تنكح زوجا غيره فإن طلقها فلا جناح عليهما أن يتراجعا إن ظنا أن يقيما حدود الله وتلك حدود الله يبينها لقوم يعلمون. وإذا طلقتم النساء فبلغن أجلهن فأمسكوهن بمعروف أو سرحوهن بمعروف ولا تمسكوهن ضرارا لتعتدوا ومن يفعل ذلك فقد ظلم نفسه. ولا تتخذوا آيات الله هزوا واذكروا نعمة الله عليكم وما أنزل عليكم من الكتاب والحكمة يعظكم به واتقوا الله واعلموا أن الله بكل شيء عليم.
أحسنت.
صدق الله العلي العظيم.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وإذا طلقتم النساء وبلغن أجلهن فلا تعذلوهن أن ينكحن أزواجهن إذا تراضوا بينهم بالمعروف ذلك يوعظ به من كان منكم يؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر ذلكم أزكى لكم وأطهر والله يعلم وأنتم لا تعلمون. والوالدات يرضعن أولادهن حولين كاملين لمن أراد أن يتم الرضاعة ولا المولود له رزقهن وكسوتهن بالمعروف لا تكلف نفس إلا وسعها لا تضار والدة بولدها ولا مولود له بولده ولا الوارث مثل ذلك فإن أراد فصالا عن تراض منهما وتشاور فلا جناح عليهما. وإن أردتم أن تسترضعوا أولادكم فلا جناح عليكم إذا سلمتم ما آتيتم بالمعروف واتقوا الله واعلموا أن الله بما تعملون بصير. والذين يتوفون منكم ويذرون أزواجا يتربصن بأنفسهن 4 أشهر وعشرا فإذا بلغن أجلهن فلا جناح عليكم فيما فعلن في أنفسهن بالمعروف والله بما تعملون خبير. ولا جناح عليكم فيما عرضتم به من خطبة النساء أو أكننتم في أنفسكم علم الله أنكم ستذكرونهن ولكن لا تعايدوهن سرا إلا أن تقولوا قولا معروفا ولا تعزموا عقدة النكاح حتى يبلغ الكتاب أجله واعلموا أن الله يعلم ما في أنفسكم فاحذروا واعلموا أن الله غفور حليم. لا جناح عليكم إن طلقتم النساء ما لم تمسوهن أو تفرضوا لهن فريضة ومتعهن للموسع قدره وللمقتر قدره وتعمل معروف حقا على المحسنين وإن طلقتموهن من قبل أن تمسوهن وقد فرضتم لهن فريضة ونصف ما فرضتم إلا أن يعفون أو يعفو الذي بيده عقدة النكاح وأن تعفوا أقرب للتقوى ولا تنسوا الفضل بينكم إن الله بما تعملون بصير حافظوا للصلوات والصلاة الوسطى وقوموا لله قانتين فإن خفتم فرجالا أو ركبانا فإذا منتم فاذكروا الله كما علمكم ولم تكونوا تعلمون والذين يتوفون منكم ويذرون أزواجا وصية لأزواجهم متاعا الحول غير إخراج فإن خرجنا فلا جناح عليكم فيما فعلنا في أنفسهن من معروف والله عزيز حكيم وللمطلقات متاع بالمعروف حقا للمتقين كذلك يبين الله لكم آياته لعلكم تعقلون ألم تر الذين خرجوا من ديارهم وهم ألوف حذر الموت فقال لهم الله موتوا ثم أحياهم إن الله لذو فضل على الناس ولكن أكثر الناس لا يشكرون وقاتلوا في سبيل الله واعلموا أن الله سميع عليم من ذا الذي يقرض الله قرضا حسنا ويضاعفه له أضعافا كثيرة والله يقبض ويبسط وإليه ترجعون ألم تر الملأ من بني إسرائيل من بعد موسى إذ قالوا لنبي لهم ابعث لنا ملكا نقاتل في سبيل الله قال هل عسيتم إن كتب عليكم القتال ولا تقاتلوا قالوا وما لنا ألا نقاتل في سبيل الله وقد أخرجنا من ديارنا وأبنائنا فلما كتب عليهم القتال تولوا إلا قليلا منهم والله عليم بالظالمين فقال لهم نبيهم إن الله قد بعث لكم طالوت ملكا قالوا أن يكون له الملك علينا ونحن أحق بالملك منه ولم يؤت سعة من المال قال إن الله اصطفاه عليكم وزاده بسطة في العلم والجسم والله يؤتي ملكه من يشاء والله واسع عليم وقال لهم نبيهم إن آية ملكه أن ياتيكم التابوت فيه سكينة من ربكم وبقية مما ترك آل موسى وآل هارون تحمله الملائكة إن في ذلك لآية لكم إن كنتم مؤمنين فلما فضل طالوت بالجنود قال إن الله مبتليكم بنهر فمن شرب منه فليس مني ومن لم يطعمه فإنه مني إلا من اغترف غرفة بيده فشربوا منه إلا قليلا منهم فلما جاوزه هو والذين آمنوا معه قالوا لا تأخذ لنا اليوم بجالوت وجنوده قال الذين يظنون عنهم ملاقوا الله كم من فئة قليلة غلبت فئة كثيرة بإذن الله والله مع الصابرين
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ولما برزوا لجالوت وجنوده قالوا ربنا افرغ علينا صبرا وثبت أقدامنا وانصرنا على القوم الكافرين فهزموهم بإذن الله وقتل داود جالوت وآتاه الله الملك والحكمة وعلمه مما يشاء ولولا دفع الله الناس بعضهم ببعض لفسدت الأرض ولكن الله ذو فضل على العالمين تلك آيات الله نتلوها عليك بالحق وإنك لمن المرسلين صدق الله العلي العظيم. Did not realize that we were at the conclusion of the second juz. Jazakumullah khair, everyone who took part in the recitation of this second juz of Quran. And inshallah, I will very briefly explain a recap a little bit about this juz. This second juz of Quran, it begins and it has four main themes, four main discussions. First discussion is in reference to the changing of the Qibla, Tahweel Qibla. As you know, that Muslimin, when they had migrated to Medina, they still were praying toward Baytul Maqdas. And this is where the Jews had mocked them, that you don't even have your own Qibla where you pray, you turn towards our Qibla, because that's what the Qibla was when Hazrat Dawood and Hazrat Sulaiman had built. So therefore, they would mock the Muslimin. And this would be something which was a matter of, Muslimin feeling down. Because of that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reveals this ayah, by saying that we have changed the qibla for you so that you may be satisfied and you may be radi with it. But أينما تولوا, whichever direction you turn to, فثم وجه الله, but you will be turning towards the face of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You'll be facing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it doesn't really matter which direction you turn to. But from this moment on, you should not turn towards Baitul Maqdis. Rather, you should be turning toward, Baitullah, which is in Makkah al-Mukarramah. So that's the first discussion that you find. Second main discussion is Ayatul Bir and the doors of Bir. That it says, لَيْسَ الْبِرَّ أَن تُوَلُّوا وُجُوهَكُمْ قِبَلَ الْمَشْرِقِ وَالْمَغْرِبِ. That ayat number 177 of Surah Baqarah. This ayat is called Ayatul Bir or Ayat Bir because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala counts the concept of bir and righteousness, that how can a person attain and be amongst those who are abrar, amongst those who are doers of good. And it talks about all of the ahkamat, aqaid, ibadat, our mu'amilat, transactions, mu'asharat, our dealing with other people, whole picture of akhlaq, in reference to this, all of them are mentioned. And then later on, the doors of bir are also mentioned in details. For example, these are Safa and Marwa, where the discussion of the sa'i, which is performed in the ahkam of Umrah and in the ahkam of Hajj. Those who have gone for Hajj and Umrah, one of the amal of Hajj and Umrah is to perform sa'i between Safa and Marwa. Second is, talks about, so from this ayat al-bir and then these abwab al-bir, these all discussion come about. And the second discussion is, these are the things that are haram upon you: the carcass, the dead, the blood, and then the meat of swine and pig, and those meats upon which the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has not been uttered. That's the second. Number three is qisas, how retribution in reference to someone who commits a crime is also amongst these. Number four, wasiyat, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving instruction to make sure that you leave behind a legacy and a will. Fourth, fasting is also mentioned in the midst of these ayat. From 177 onwards, you'll find that these are the different abwab and the doors of nekukari, bir, righteousness. If you want to attain righteousness, you look from ayat numbers 177 onwards, you'll find these abwabe bir. So the fasting, i'tikaf is mentioned, how haram income is condemned, the discussion in reference to the the dates which are based on the lunar calendar. Jihad is mentioned, Hajj is mentioned, infaq in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the concept of hijrat and migration, those who migrated with the Holy Prophet as opposed to those who did not migrate. There's a difference between their levels, the concept and the discussion in reference to alcohol and gambling, how that is impermissible, although some people may find the benefit more or in it, but that's not the case. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best, because there's very little benefit and there's more harm to you in it. The discussion in reference to nikah with mushrikeen, that whole discussion of ilm fiqh is mentioned in this ayat. Some of the things that are affecting the women on a monthly basis, that discussion is mentioned there. The concept of talaq is mentioned. Iddat, their waiting period after they have been divorced, them feeding and the rada'at of the children, their mahr, their dowry is mentioned, and many other such pagamat and messages that are mentioned under these ayat bir. These are called collectively ayat or abwabul bir. The third discussion is the there was this in fact it is related to our time right now as well, that there was a time where people were affected by this virus, ta'un as they call it. And when this ta'un had affected many people and they were going from one city to another city to run away from this waba, from this virus, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent the angels, and these people, obviously they died and they could not survive. It was mentioned that you cannot run away from that azab which has been sent by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That azab which has been given to you by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So there's no running away from that. And last is the story of Talut. The story of Talut, that Talut along with his men, how they had requested and the Nabi that send upon us a king. So Talut and his fight against Jalut is mentioned in it. Talut goes out. First they argued how could he be our leader when he does not even have all of those wealth and everything. So they mention that he's got two things. One, he's strong physically, and he has ilm that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to him. These two things he has with him, and that is enough to be a ruler. And then there was a test that was put in front of his people as he was going with them, and that is towards the end of the second juz, where he tested his own people, that it is the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that you should not drink from this water. And some of them went ahead and still drank from that water. So it was just a test that was portrayed in front of them, and he was able to defeat the army of Jalut, although they were less in numbers. And this is because of the hukum and the wisdom and the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This was just a brief gist and the summary of the second juz. Inshallah, we will resume our transmission at 9 o'clock with the recitation of Dua Iftitah, followed by the nightly lecture. Until then, Salamun alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. You're requested to please recite a Surah Fatiha and 3 times Surah Ikhlas for the marhumin of the sponsors tonight, Mr. Hussein and Mrs. Tahira Ali, Dr. Asa Sadiq and Dr. Amna Sadiq, Mr. Zahir Zaidi and Mrs. Farhat Fatma, Mr. Asad and Dr. Huma Ali, Mr. and Mrs. Samir Kazmi, Mr. and Mrs. Imtiaz Kazmi, Mr. and Mrs. Abbas Ali, as well as the marhumin of Brother Fardin Abdi's family, especially his mother who passed away recently, Marhuma Lotika Hussein, as well as his father, Marhum Sayyid Bakar Hussein. Also for the marhumin of Mr. Sadiq and Dr. Sarah Khan, Mr. and Mrs. Anwar Abbas and their marhumin, as well as all of your marhumin, Surah Fatiha and 3 times Surah Ikhlas. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Maliki nasta'in. Ihdina as-sirata al-mustaqim. As-sirata alladhina an'amta alayhim. Ghayril maghdubi alayhim wa lad-dallin. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Qul huwallahu ahad. Allahu as-samad. Lam yalid wa lam yulad wa lam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Qul huwallahu ahad. Allahu as-samad. Lam yalid wa lam yulad wa lam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Qul huwallahu ahad. Allahu as-samad. Lam yalid wa lam yulad wa lam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Brother Fardin Abdi also requested that recite a majlis for the Isal Sawab of his marhuma mother, Marhuma Latika Hussein, for whom it is also Soyam. So inshallah towards the end I will have Dhikr Masaib. But before that, inshallah, we'll proceed with Dua Iftitah. For that, I will call Brother Haider to start the Dua. Bismillah. I think your phone mic may be mute. We can't hear you. Okay. Start over.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم إني أفتتح الثناء بحمدك وأنت مسدد للصواب بمنك وأيقنت أنك أنت أرحم الراحمين في موضع العفو والرحمة وأشد المعاقبين في موضع النكال والنقمة وأعزم المتجبرين في موضع الكبرياء والعزمة اللهم أذنت لي في دعائك ومسألتك فاسمع يا سميع مدعدي وأجب يا رحيم دعوتي وأقل يا غفور عثرتي فكم يا إلهي من كربة قد فرجتها وهموم قد كشفتها وعثرة قد أقلتها ورحمة قد نشرتها وحلقة بلاء قد فككتها الحمد لله الذي لم يتخذ صاحبة ولا ولدا ولم يكن له شريك في الملك ولم يكن له ولي من الذل وكبره تكبيرا
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
الحمد لله بجميع محامده كلها على جميع نعمه كلها الحمد لله الذي لا مضاد له في ملكه ولا منازع له في أمره الحمد لله الذي لا شريك له في خلقه ولا شبيه له في عظمته الحمد لله الفاشي في الخلق أمره وحمده الظاهر بالكرم مجده الباسط بالجود يده الذي لا تنقص خزائنه ولا تزيده كثرة العطاء إلا جودا وكرما، إنه هو العزيز الوهاب. اللهم إني أسألك قليلا من كثير، مع حاجة بي إليه عظيمة، وغناك عنه قديم وهو عندي كثير، وهو عليك سهل يسير. اللهم إن عفوك عن ذنبي، وتجاوزك عن خطيئتي، وسمحك عن ظلمي، وسترك على قبيح عملي، وحلمك عن كثير جرمي عندما كان من خطئي وعمدي، أطمعني في إن أسألك ما لا أستوجبه منك الذي رزقني من رحمتك، وأريتني من قدرتك، وعرفتني من إجابتك، فصرت أدعوك آمنا، وأسألك مستأنسا لا خائفا ولا وجلا، مدلا عليك فيما قصدت فيه إليك، فإن أبطأ عني عتبت بجهلي عليك، ولعل الذي أبطأ عني هو خير لي لعلمك بعاقبة الأمور، فلم أر مولا كريما أصبر على عبد اللئيم منك علي. يا رب إنك تدعوني فأولي عنك، وتتحمم إلي فأتبغض إليك، وتتودد إلي فلا أقبل منك، وكأن لي التطول عليك، فلم يمنعك ذلك من الرحمة لي والإحسان إلي والتفضل علي بجودك وكرمك، فارحم عبدك الجاهل وجد لي عليه بفضل إحسانك، إنك جواد كريم. الحمد لله مالك الملك مجري الفلك مسخر الرياح فالق الإصباح، ديان الدين رب العالمين. الحمد لله على حلمه بعد علمه، والحمد لله على عفوه بعد قدرته، والحمد لله على طول أناته في غضبه، وهو قادر على ما يريد. الحمد لله خالق الخلق باسط الرزق فالق الإصباح، ذي الجلال والإكرام وفضل والإنعام، الذي بعد فلا يرى وقرب فشهد النجوى، تبارك وتعالى. الحمد لله الذي ليس له منازع يعادله، ولا شبيه يشاكله، ولا ظهير يعاضده، قهر بعزته الأعزاء، وتواضع لعزمته العزماء، فبلغ بقدرته ما يشاء. الحمد لله الذي يجيبني حين أناديه، ويستر علي كل عورة وأنا عصيه، ويعزم النعمة علي فلا أجازيه، فكم من موهبة هنيئة قد أعطاني، وعزيمة مخوفة قد كفاني، وبهجة مانقة قد أراني، فأثني عليه حامدا وأذكره مسبحا. الحمد لله الذي لا يهتك حجابه، ولا يغلق بابه، ولا يرد سائله، ولا يخيب آمله. الحمد لله الذي يؤمن الخائفين، وينجي الصالحين، ويرفع المستضعفين، ويضع المستكبرين، ويهلك ملوكا ويستخلف آخرين. والحمد لله قاسم الجبارين، مبين الظالمين، مدرك الهاربين، نكال الظالمين، صريخ المستسرقين، موضع حاجات الطالبين، معتمد المؤمنين. الحمد لله الذي من خشيته ترعد السماء وسكانها، وترجف الأرض وعمارها، وتموج البحار ومن يسبح في غمراتها. الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله. الحمد لله الذي يخلق ولم يخلق، ويرزق ولا يرزق، ويدعم ولا يدعم، ويميت الأحياء ويحيي الموتى، وهو حي لا يموت، بيده الخير، وهو على كل شيء قدير. اللهم صل على محمد عبدك ورسولك وأمينك وصفيك وحبيبك وخيرتك من خلقك وحافظ سرك ومبلغ رسالاتك أفضل وأحسن وأجمل وأكمل وأزكى وأنمى وأطيب وأدهر وأسنى وأكثر ما صليت وباركت وترحمت وتحننت وسلمت على أحد من عبادك وأنبيائك ورسلك وصفتك وأهل الكرامة عليك من خلقك. اللهم وصل على علي أمير المؤمنين ووصي رسول رب العالمين عبدك ووليك وأخي رسولك وحجتك على خلقك وآيتك الكبرى والنبأ العظيم. وصل على الصديقة الطاهرة فاطمة سيدة نساء العالمين. وصل على سبتي الرحمة وإمام الهدى الحسن والحسين سيدي شباب أهل الجنة. وصل على أئمة المسلمين علي بن الحسين محمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر وعلي بن موسى ومحمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد والحسن بن علي والخلف الهادي المهدي حججك على عبادك وأمنائك في بلادك صلاة كثيرة دائمة. اللهم وصل على ولي أمرك القائم المؤمل والعدل المنتظر وحفه بملائكتك المقربين وأيده بروح القدس يا رب العالمين. اللهم اجعله الداعي إلى كتابك والقائم بدينك يستخلف في الأرض كما استخلفت الذين من قبله. مكن له دينه الذي ارتضيته له وابدله من بعد خوفه أمنا يعبدك لا يشرك بك شيئا. اللهم وأعزه وأعزز به وانصره وانتصر به وانصره نصرا عزيزا وافتح له فتحا يسيرا واجعل له من لدنك سلطانا نصيرا. اللهم أظهر به دينك وسنة نبيك حتى لا يستخفي بشيء من الحق مخافة أحد من الخلق. اللهم إنا نرغب إليك في دولة كريمة تعز بها الإسلام وأهله وتذل بها النفاق وأهله وتجعلنا فيها من الدعاة إلى طاعتك والقادة إلى سبيلك وترزقنا بها كرامة الدنيا والآخرة. اللهم ما عرفتنا من الحق فحملنا وما قصرنا عنه فبلغنا. اللهم المم به شعثنا واشعب به صدعنا وارتق به فتقنا وكثر به قلتنا وأعزز به ذلتنا وأغن به عائلنا واغض به عن مغرمنا واجبر به فقرنا وسد به خلتنا ويسر به عسرنا وبيض به وجوهنا وفك به أسرنا وأنجح به طلبتنا وأنجز به مواعيدنا واستجب به دعوتنا وأعطنا به سؤلنا وبلغنا به من الدنيا والآخرة آمالنا واعطنا به فوق رغبتنا يا خير المسؤولين وأوسع المعطين. اشف به صدورنا وأذهب به غيظ قلوبنا واهدنا به لما اختلف فيه من الحق بإذنك إنك تهدي من تشاء إلى صراط مستقيم وانصرنا به على عدوك وعدونا
إله الحق آمين. اللهم إنا نشكو إليك فقد نبينا صلاتك عليه وآله وغيبة ولينا وكثرة عدونا وقلة عددنا وشدة الفتن بنا وتظاهر الزمان علينا فصل على محمد وآله وأعدنا على ذلك بفتح منك تعجله وبضر تكشفه ونصر تعزه وسلطان حق تزهره ورحمة منك تجللناها وعافية منك تلبسناها برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
Thank you very much for that beautiful recitation of Dua Iftitah. Inshallah, before we start, I wanted to see if I can find. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين خاتم النبيين أبي القاسم محمد وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. أما بعد، فقد قال الله تبارك وتعالى وقوله الحق وهو أصدق القائلين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون. صدق الله العلي العظيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. The verse that I recited is ayat number 183 from Surah Baqarah. Earlier in the recitation of the group recitation of Holy Quran, we recited this ayah and those verses regarding fast in chapter number 2. So this is one of those verses in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is addressing us with this command, with this wujub of fast being something which is wajib upon you. And hence Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us this order. O those who believe, O those who have brought faith in me, fast as the same fast was prescribed on people who lived before you, so that you may become muttaqeen. With that said, if you remember the discussion that we had last night, and in that discussion we spent some time talking about the importance of this wajib that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made upon us. Here tonight, very briefly, I wanted to continue with that discussion, and since it was requested for by the brother for Isa alayhi Sawab Majlis, inshallah we will have a masaib towards the end as well. That this siyam, or this fast of the month of Ramadan, is amongst the mercies of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We said, Maulana, it's a very difficult task, and you're calling it to be a mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you look at all the benefits that are associated with it, then you can but imagine that it is indeed one of the biggest favors of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala upon us. Many riwayat that I stumbled over while I was trying to prepare tonight's discussion, and inshallah I'll share a few with you. One of the du'as that we make in this month of Ramadan, this line has appeared in that du'a. It says, Allahumma ja'al siyami fihi siyam as-sa'imin. Oh Allah, make my fast is the fast of those who fast in this month. That means those who really, truly fast in this month. Wa qiyami fihi qiyam al-qa'imin. And me standing up all night, vigil in your worship, make it to be the standing of those who really do the haqq of standing up all night in your ibadat. وَنَبِّهْنِي فِيهِ عَنْ نَوْمَةِ الْغَافِلِينَ. And also warn me and keep me ready so that I don't become heedless and negligent in reference to those who are ghafil and heedless due to their slumber and their sleep. وَهَبْلِي جُرْمِي فِيهِ يَا إِلَهَ الْعَالَمِينَ وَاعْفُ عَنِّي يَا آفِيًا عَنِ الْمُجْرِمِينَ. And of course, the dua to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive all of the sins and the crimes that we may have committed. Similarly, the Holy Prophet Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam mentions in that continuation, he says, رُبَّ قَائِمٍ حظه من قيامه السهر ورب سائم حظه من صيامه على عطش. That many of those who stand up all night, they achieve nothing except getting tired standing up all night. And many who fast during this month, they achieve nothing except extravagant amount of thirst and hunger. That the outcome of their ibadat is merely getting tired, and the outcome of their fast is merely being thirsty and hungry. That's the benefit some people get out of it. Allahu Akbar. Let's just hope that we are not amongst those who get this sort of benefit from fasting. So therefore, ulama have divided, or from the benefiting from the riwayat of Masumeen, the group of those who fast into three categories. There are three types of people when it comes to fasting. The first group is the group of laymen, ordinary people, awam. Second is the group of distinguished people, khawas. And the third is the group of the most distinguished, khasul khawas, or khawasul khawas. Those who are distinguished amongst those who are distinguished. Yes, these are the three categories when it comes to, fasting. You might not find these three different categories in other places, in other ibadat, but at least in this ibadat you find in the riwayat of Masumeen. So there's the fast of those who are awam, then there's the fast of those who are khawas, and then there's the fast of those who are khawasul khawas, or khasul khawas. Those who are laymen, those who are distinguished, and those who are most distinguished. What is the difference between the three? It says the fast of the layman, it is a fast in which he has control over his stomach and his lustful desires, merely avoiding eating and drinking, and of course controlling his desires to not go after those things which will invalidate his fast. That's a layman. You say, well, that pretty much describes my fast. That's why I fast, that I'm able to control my stomach, that I'm able to control, my lust and my desires. That's the maximum that I get out of it. Yes, therefore, this is the fast of who? This is the fast of those who are, according to this riwayat, layman, lay person. And then the second is the fast of the distinguished. Distinguished are those who protect all their organs from haram and committing sins. Based on the tradition of the fifth Imam, this person has attained the true thawab of a sa'im. Why? Not only that he has done what the laymen have done, but also on top of that, he has protected all of his organs and a'dha. I remember that we mentioned that last night as well. So that's the fast of those who are distinguished. So now you're wondering, if that's the fast of the distinguished, and Imam is also, confirming that this person has paid due diligence when it comes to fasting, that he's done the haqq of fast, then what is the fast of those who are, khawasul khawas, the most distinguished? It's the fast of the most distinguished aside from the above that we mentioned. Not only he doesn't commit sins, but he keeps his heart pure from thinking about sins. Yes. This month gives you that ability that not only that you don't sin, but you could have control to the extent that you don't even think about sinning. Guess what? That's what Masumin do. When Imam was asked, "Oh Imam, how is it that you don't even think about sinning?" Yes, they're Masum. So, bil fail, it is possible for them to go ahead and, consume something which is forbidden, do something which is haram. But Imams, not only that they don't, because they're Masum, but they don't even think about committing haram. So fast of those who are khasul khawas is to the level where they're also abstaining from what? Abstaining from even thinking about that which is haram. So a person came to Imam and he said, "Imam, how is it that you don't even think about it?" Imam gave a, beautiful example, but using something which may be disgusting. Imam said, if there's a food which has been sitting in the garbage and has rotten for past couple of days, would you eat it if you were hungry? He said, not only that I won't eat it, I won't even think about eating it. Imam said, just like that rotten food, you don't even think about eating it even though you're hungry, because you know the effects of that rotten food. It's been sitting there for a couple of days. God knows what's in it now. Similarly, we don't even think about committing sins. Sins are just like that rotten food or the poisonous food for you, which you don't even think about eating and consuming. So there you go. That's how Imam. And there are some other words which I mentioned might be, that Imams use, that things that you would not consume. Don't even think about consuming. Therefore, we find that this is the fast of those who are most distinguished. That not only that he performs what others have done, awam and the khawas, but on top of that, he protects his heart and keeps it pure as well. Therefore, not even thinking about sinning. Iftar of such a person is being heedless from the remembrance of Allah. When did they break their fast? If for a moment they stop thinking and doing the dhikr of Allah, that's when their fast is broken. Their fast is not broken by eating something. Their fast is broken when they stop thinking about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And therefore, that's why he's always busy doing the dhikr of Allah. So iftar of the fast of a layman is at the time of Maghrib. When the time of Maghrib comes, that's when the iftar of a layman, an ordinary individual. Iftar of the distinguished is at the time of their death. And the iftar of the most distinguished is in attaining the pleasure and the nearness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you look at it from this perspective, you find how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to be amongst those who are the khawas of khawas. With that said, there are atharat and the benefits that are associated with it. I usually do take a couple of days in highlighting this, because we should not forget that this month of Ramadan makes it wajib upon us, but the effects of fasting remain if we were to go ahead and fast outside of month of Ramadan. So we tend to forget that. So it is important that if we're only going to be fasting during the month of Ramadan, to remind ourselves of these favors and the benefits that are associated with it. There was another beautiful hadith in this reference, but because of the time, I'll keep it towards the end. If we had time, inshallah, I will bring that hadith later on. Therefore, there are some individual benefits that a person can attain. We talked about some of the social effects and some of the social benefits that are associated with fasting. Let's think about some of the individual effects and some of the individual benefits that are associated with fasting. For some, January is the start of a new year. For a dua of our fourth Imam, Imam Ali ibn al-Hussein, Zayn al-Abidin alayhi salatu wasalam, he says, وَأَرْبَحَنَا أَفْضَلَ أَرْبَاهِ الْعَالَمِينَ. Dua for Eid. Imam has this fiqra in it, that the best of the Prophet of the Alameen, we have attained that. The best of the Prophets, best of the gains. How? Through this month of Ramadan. So for some, January is the start of the new year. When they buy new things, they make resolutions. For some, end of the summer is like the start of the new year. For example, the farmers who are waiting to, harvest, and they're waiting for the product to be ready. Ibn Tawus alayhi rahmah said, for Ahl Suluk, those who are the travelers on the path of prosperity towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Ramadan is the start of the new year for them. So they can judge what they have done from last year of Ramadan up until this point. So this is a point for them to go ahead and judge themselves. This is a point for them, how you think about when the new year comes along, what have I gained, what have I achieved, you assess, you evaluate. They evaluate themselves during the month of Ramadan. Now this month of Ramadan has started. I started fasting in this month of Ramadan. I started performing all of those things which brings me closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then until the next month of Ramadan that comes along, have I been able to maintain that? Maintaining is very important. We can all gain the heights in a second or two, but to be able to maintain that height for a long time is something which is very, very difficult. So they measure their level of marifat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from last year. This year, what is the level of our marifat of Allah? And then following year, make that to be the scale of measuring your level of marifat. Measure their level of knowledge. How many religious issues have they been able to solve? But unfortunately, when it comes to this fast, same exact issues are repeated every year. That's okay, because it's not your subject, and it's not fiqh is not your subject, and you're not experts in it, and therefore it is possible that you may have these questions, recurring questions every year. But this is where this upbringing or this nurturing, this development has to come. That we're able to attain knowledge of at least that bare minimum which is required by all of us. That we should know the laws. Someone asked me, Maulana, I did not fast today because I was going to travel later on during the day. I was going to go to, for example, New York. I had to go pick up someone from the airport. So I did not fast today because I was going to go to New York anyway at 10 a.m. And you told me, and we all know that if you travel before Dhuhr and you come back after Dhuhr and you travel out of your city and the limits, then your fast is gone for the day. So because I knew that I had to go to the airport at 10 a.m. and I would not come back from JFK, let's say, by 1 or 2 p.m., which is after Dhuhr, so my fast would be gone. So I said, well, why even bother fasting today? No, you have to remain in the state of fasting up until that point that you are in your city, until that 10 a.m. mark. You can't just begin the day without fasting. It was, oh, is there kafara upon me? There will most definitely be kafara if you were aware of the mas'ala. So we are all aware of the mas'ala. It's just that we did not think of it that way. You can't just not begin your day without fasting. You have to fast. And then when you travel and when you reach that place which is beyond your city limits, where your salat becomes qasr, this is where your fast is gone. If you were to eat something, then it will remain that your fast for that day is for sure gone, and there's no qaza, there's no kafara rather, but there is qaza for you afterwards. As we recited this ayat last night, ayat number 185, which talks about that if you are in safar, if you are mareez, or if you are traveling. So that goes in that category. But you can't just begin the day, because you know that later on in the day you're going to be traveling. So today I won't even bother fasting. I won't even get up for fajr, or I won't even get up for suhoor or sehri, and I'll just skip the fast of the day. No, you can't do that. That's like by on purpose breaking the fast, and which definitely requires a kafara, and kafara is a tough one. So therefore, increase your knowledge when it comes to the religious issues pertaining to fast. And in this day and age that we live in, if you don't have access to someone like me who's a student of Hawza, or the ulama and scholars that are around you, if you don't have access to one of them, then it's in the fingertips. All you gotta do is log on, use the computer, go to the website of your marja, and you can find the mas'ala. And they have, alhamdulillah, in all languages available, languages that you and I speak. It's there in Arabic, it's there in Persian, it's there in Urdu, it's there in English, and many other languages that it has been translated into. We're able to find so many technical things, but when it comes to finding the mas'ala that we need, one of our scholars wrote a book literally for this particular purpose. Sheikh Saduq alayhi rahmah, he has a book called what? Man la yahdaruhu al-faqih. This book is for those who do not have in access a faqih, a jurist. When they don't have a jurist in their access, then this book is sufficient for you. Now this book has been translated, then made simple and simplified, oversimplified in a layman's term, and then put on these websites of the Maraja, and you can easily find these masail. So therefore, before you act, make sure that you find. Therefore, we need to increase the level of knowledge when it comes to these religious issues, which are very, very relevant in this day and age, especially when it comes to the simple prayer, when it comes to fast, when it comes to all of those other masail. Level of deterrence in front of sins. This is where those who are the wayfarers of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they measure their level of deterrence. That from this year's Ramadan up until next year's Ramadan, have we been able to deter more against the desires and the sins? Or no, the month of Ramadan came, we fasted, we did all of the obligations, and then it left, and then we go back to our normal life again. And then when it'll come back again next year, then we'll worry about it. This is a training period for you. It's a training facility for you. And then lastly, month of Ramadan for salikin, for traveler, is the month of accountability. It's the month of muhasibah nafs, that you hold yourself accountable. There's so many riwayat in this reference, but I'll skip through it so that I can conclude this discussion tonight, inshallah, so that we can get to the other discussions that I have for you planned, inshallah, throughout the month. A tradition from our 8th Imam, Imam Ali ibn Musarradah, alayhi salatu wassalam, Imam said, لَوْ أَنَّ النَّاسِ قَصَّرُوا فِي الطَّعَامِ لَاسْتَقَامَتْ أَبْدَانُهُم. And then another one of the benefits of fasting that Imam mentions, he says, if people eat less food, their bodies will remain healthy longer. Yes. One of the reasons that you find our maraja, 100 years old, 95 years old, well into their 90s. In fact, when they're well above 75, that's when they're recognized as the marja taqlid. Unless, of course, those geniuses who became marja taqlid, in their 40s, in their 50s. But by the time they get to the 70s, 75, that's when they're really recognized as, Ayatullah al-Uzma or marja taqlid. So we find that, they get to live so long. They're 90 years old, 95 years old. Some of the existing maraja that we have, many of them are in their 90s right now. And they are well within their, intelligence. They're still giving lectures, they're still giving fatawa, they're still issuing verdicts, they're still being approached by people, they're meeting. So what happened? They may have followed this tradition of Imam and many such traditions of Imams, that if people eat less food, their bodies will remain healthy longer. The more you eat, then what your body requires is in excess, which again, obviously remains in the blood and causes the microbes and bacteria to develop. Again, if those things remain, that's only going to be bringing, more and more difficulty for you. Prophet of Islam, Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam said in a tradition, he says, Sumu tasihhu. Fast and you will remain healthy. Fasting is a method of giving rest to the stomach. It is one of the most sensitive systems in our bodies created by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why most sensitive? Because it is used on daily basis. Yeah, I'm sure other organs are also used daily basis, but the excess of the usage of this system that God has created, this digestive system that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created, the stomach, the functions that it has of distributing that which we consume to different places, is one of the most delicate and the most used systems in our body. What does month of Ramadan do to the system? Month of Ramadan gives this machinery a rest. For a month long, because you're only eating once in the morning, barely, and then you're eating at the iftar. You know, there's a gap of 15, 16 hours in between. The stomach can rest. This function of your body can relax a little bit so that it will go back to its natural being after this month is over. So 1 month's fasting actually giving it a rest. But that's speaking from the physical perspective. Speaking from the spiritual perspective, Amir al-Mu'mineen in Nahj al-Balagha, he says, Kam min akalatin mana'at akalat. Often inordinate desire to secure a single gain or single morsel, which is haram, as a hindrance for the quest of many profitable pursuits. One haram morsel, you know, kam min akalatin mana'at akalat, that you try to gain that one thing, which then becomes hindrance in gaining a bigger and profitable pursuit. Sometimes one extra morsel becomes the cause of an illness which deprives eating for many, many days. You know, isn't it the case that you ate something, you know, the other day or the other night, or you went out somewhere and you ate something over there, your body reacted to it, and now you can't eat anything for the next couple of days or maybe a week. You're only surviving on liquids. So kam min akalatin muni'at aklat. Mana'at aklat. How many times a morsel becomes the reason for the deprivation of many morsels to come? And then look at it from the perspective of spirituality. That how sometimes one haram morsel could lead to such devastation as well. Third is the spirit. This is a perfect segue into the spiritual effects and the benefits that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that you may become pious. Prophet of Islam has a tradition in this reference as well. He says, Arba'atun la turaddu lahum da'watun hatta tufattaha lahum abwabus sama. There are 4 people for whom their dua is not turned down until the doors of the heavens are open. وَتَصِيرَ إِلَى الْعَرْشِ الْوَالِدِ لِوَلَدِهِ وَالْمَظْلُومَ عَلَى مَنْ ظَلَمَهُ وَالْمُعْتَمِرَ حَتَّى يَرْجِعْ وَالصَّائِمْ حَتَّى يُفْتِرْ. It says 4 people, their dua is never turned down until it reaches the throne of Allah and the doors of heavens are opened for it. What are these 4 people? It's mentioning that the first is the father's dua. Al-walidu li-waladihi. Father's dua for his children. Others might have, you know, some reason and gharaz and jealousy, but a father can never be jealous of his son. So this dua is always what khalis. You ask someone, can you please make dua for me? That person is already jealous and envious of you because of what you have and, you know, what he has. So they may make dua for you, but it may not be khalis for you. But I'm not saying that's true all the time. But when a father is making dua for his son, that is always khalis, sincere. Because there's no gharaz that he has from his son. And therefore, this dua is something which is never turned down by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala hatta it reaches the arsh ilahi and the abwab as-sama are opened. Number 2, dua of an oppressed mazloom against oppression. When a mazloom is making dua, his dua and his his sigh of reaches the Arsh-e Ilahi the quickest. Number 3, dua of the visitor of the house of Allah until he returns home. So when you go for Umrah and when you go for Hajj, your dua is accepted. Not only that dua is answered and accepted while you're there, but until you return home, this dua is continued to be accepted and it's not turned down by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And lastly but not least, dua by a fasting person until he breaks his fast. I think I've recited this tradition more than 20 times. I can remember that when the Holy Prophet ascended to Mi'raj, and when he was in Mi'raj, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala spoke to the Holy Prophet. And when he spoke to him, one of the questions that Allah asked him, Ya Ahmad, بأي وقت يتقرب العبد من المعبود? What is the time when the servant is closest to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? And Prophet said, La adri. You tell me, O Allah, what is the best time? What is the time when he's closest to you? Allah responded by saying, إِذَا كَانَ جَاعِعًا أَوْ سَاجِدًا. When that person is empty stomach and when he's prostrating and doing sajda of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So therefore, dua by a fasting person until he breaks his fast is Mawrid Qabul, and therefore do not squander this opportunity that you have. Fifth Imam said, إِذَا صُمْتَ فَلْيَصُمْ سَمْعُكَ وَبَصَرُكَ. If you fast, fast with your ears and fast with your basirat, with your vision as well. Fasting is for the well-being of your soul. Similarly, exercise and travel is good for the well-being of your health. There's so much emphasis laid upon traveling and going around, Siru fil ard, ayat of Quran. Many places Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Siru fil ard falyanzur. Travel in the land and then see what is the aqibat of those who were mukazzibeen, those who were liars, those who were kafirin, those who were wrongdoers. You will see their aqibat when you see the ruins when you travel and make your travels. His mind and his duties, this is a good, therefore it is necessary for an employee to take some time off from the work, during the month and during the year, especially the system that we live in. There's this vacation that you get from your employer. So therefore it is important, because when you take this time out and when you go out and when you visit different places and then you come back, you have this new energy within you. Ramadan serves the same purpose. When you take a break from the entire year's enjoyment, nobody was stopping you from eating whatever you wanted to, enjoyment of all you wanted to, things that you wanted to do, obviously within the realm of halal. But this is the 1 month that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to you. It's sort of like a break, like a vacation, doing what you want and eating what you want. For the 30 days, you go ahead and have this vacation. So treat it like that and see how you can benefit from it. It is one of the means of fighting with our nafs, and as well as with every type of shaitan. Yes, there are more than one type of shayateen. Shayateen are put into custody in the month of Ramadan. They're unable to leave and misguide you. Someone said, well, I still see people who are misguided. What's misguiding them? So there are multiple shayateen. That Iblis shaitan is placed into custody so that he cannot come and misguide you. But there are many shayateen that exist outside of Iblis. Our nafs sometimes serves as shaitan. Some individuals gain the attribute of shayateen and they start misleading as well. And therefore Prophet said in a very beautiful hadith to his companions, he said, Ala ukhbirukum, do you want me to inform you bishay'in, with something, idha in antum fa'altumuhu, if you were to perform this thing, taba'ad ash-shaytanu minkum kama taba'ad al-mashriq min al-maghrib. Shaitan will be so far away from you, will get so far away from you as mashriq, east is away from the west. East will always be away from the west. That's why they're the opposite of each other. Is that if you want shaitan to be away from you the same way east is away from west, People right away said, yes, bala, sure, why not? الصوم يسود وجهه والصدقة تكسر ظهره والحب في الله والموازرة على العمل الصالح يقطع دابره والاستغفار يقطع وتينه ولكل شيء زكاة وزكاة الأبدان الصيام. Said 4 things that are mentioned here. Number 1, fasting frowns the face of shaitan dark. Yuswaddu wajhahu. That if you fast, shaitan becomes angry, he frowns, and his face complexions change. Number 2, sadaqah. When you give sadaqah in this month of Ramadan especially, it what? Breaks the back of shaitan. It's, this is used as an example that, so and so broke my back. I was so reliant upon them, reliant upon them. I relied on so and so, but they're no longer offering any help. It broke my back. When you use this muhavara like that, the same way it is mentioned that it breaks the back of shaitan when you give sadaqah. Love and friendship for Allah and cooperation in good deed dissolves shaitan's tasallut and stronghold upon you. And lastly, tawbah and istighfar can remove the existence of shaitan completely from your life. And for everything there is zakat, and the zakat of your bodies is what? The zakat of your bodies is fasting. That's why there's zakatul fitrah that we give at the end of the month of Ramadan. With that, I wanted to bring it towards the end. I have a few minutes with me. That hadith, inshallah, it's a lengthy hadith and requires, in-depth explanation. So I'll keep that hadith, inshallah, for another time. As brother had also requested for Masaib towards the end, just thinking about, the role that our 4th Imam played. Our 4th Imam, I was reading in one of his habits during the month of Ramadan, that during the month of Ramadan, because obviously Imam had servants that were serving Imam, some of them were slaves, and Imams would use these to buy from other people and then free them. But these slaves were so fond of Ma'sumin that they would not want to be freed. They said, no, we'd rather be with you as slaves than be freed and, be on our own. But Imam alayhi salatu wasalam, this was the agenda that they were working on to alleviate this, concept from the society. So Imam, our 4th Imam, Imam Zainul Abidin alayhi salatu wasalam, he also had some slaves and some servants. And Imam would document their mistakes during the month of Ramadan. And at the end of the month, Imam would gather them, bring them all together, stand in the middle of all of them, and Imam would remind them of the mistakes that they made. And of course, because Imam had written it down, there was no denial. And then Imam would say to them, repeat what I am about to say after me. They would repeat. He said, the same way I have said this, Ali ibn Hussein. So Imam was telling them to speak to him in this way. Say, O Ali ibn Hussein, O Zainul Abidin. They would repeat, the slaves would repeat, O Zainul Abidin. The same way you have documented our mistakes and our lapses in this month of Ramadan, which is there's no denial of, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is also documenting your mistakes. Don't worry about it. On the day of judgment, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has documented your mistakes the same way you have documented our mistakes. This is the kalam of Imam. Of course, Imam is ma'soom. There's no concept of mistake, but Imam is showing this, teaching this to us. Otherwise, what would be the explanation of Dua Kumail, where Amirul Mu'mineen is saying, Kullu dhammin adnabtu, all the sins that I have committed. Same thing is what our 4th Imam is doing here. He says, repeat this after me. O Zainul Abidin, the way you have documented our mistakes, in this month of Ramadan, which we cannot deny, because yes, you have written them down. Guess what? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has also documented your mistakes, and He will show it to you on the Day of Judgment. Therefore, if you want Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive you, you should also forgive us. Imam is making his servants read and repeat this sentence. Basically, he's asking them to ask him to be forgiving, especially in this month of Ramadan. Because if you are forgiving in this month, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will also forgive you on the Day of Judgment, even if you were coming with a lot of mistakes. That was our fourth Imam, Imam Zainul Abidin. He said, "Oh Allah, you have given us this opportunity in this month to be your guests. And I am your guest, O Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That itself is enough of a reward for me, that I can't imagine anything else as a reward from you. You are being invited as the guest of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala." And that same fourth Imam, Ravi, says that I saw him in a state while his legs were tied up to a camel, while his hands were tied behind his back, while his head was lowered, and he could not even see anything ahead of him. And this was the situation when a person says, "Who are these people?" They said, "These are, this is a group of rebels that stood up against Khalifatul Muslimin." He said, "Who was their leader?" He said, "Their leader was Hussein ibn Ali, who was martyred, who was killed in Karbala." This person starts weeping, starts crying. Imam Zainul Abidin, who sees that in this crowd, everyone is mocking us, everyone is making fun of us, everyone is threatening us, we're not safe, all of them are laughing at us. And who is this one man who's crying and weeping for us? Imam, who are you? He said, "Maulana, it's not important who I am, but I am yet indeed one of your followers. I wish and I hope that I had never come here to see such a scene, to see you and your family suffering in this way, becoming captives in the hands of these atrocious people." Imam said, "Now that you have mentioned that you are our follower and our lover and our muhib, then do one thing, do a favor to us. Ask these individuals and these people to move away, to take these heads upon which there are spears of shuhada, to continue to move them away from the rest of the caravan, so that people only look at them and they don't look at the open heads without veils of the ladies of my household. My Zainab, my aunt Zainab, Kulthum, and all the other women in this household, they are also with me and they don't have any veil upon them. If you are our muhib, at least ask them to do so." Imam Zainul Abidin, in such a situation where his feet are tied, his hands are tied behind his back, and his back has been bent, Imam alayhi salatu wassalam is the leader of this caravan. And that's when Imam, when he arrives in this dungeon, in this zindan of Sham, he sees his aunt Janab Zainab. Tonight they wanted me to recite a few words of Masaib for the lady who passed away, be it the soyam of that lady. This is a motherly figure who's no longer with the children, how the children will feel for that mother. Janab Zainab Salamullah Alayha is also a mother. She also have given sacrifice of her kids. And when they had won the battle against Yazid and they were being escorted back, there were majalis that were taking place. But look at the courage of Zainab. Where's the motherhood of Zainab? That has she put it away? Is it even possible for a mother to do such a thing? The Janab Zainab, when that majlis was gathered, all these heads were being brought in of shuhada, every lady would go and hold the head of their loved one and they would weep and cry, except these two heads which sat in the corner, that the ladies of Sham said, "Who are these kids? Do they not have any waris over here who would weep for them, who would cry for them? Zainab said, yes, this is their mother, but how can I weep for my own children? Well, the children of and the child of Fatimatul Zahra is still amongst us. Ala lanatullah al-qawm al-zalimin. وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. Allah, please accept our ibadah tonight. Allah, we've committed a lot of sins. Please forgive our sins. Allah, give us the tawfiq and ability to follow the commands and the teachings of Masumin alayhi salatu wassalam. Allah, this is the month of mercy. This is the month of forgiveness. Forgive us of all of our sins and bestow upon us all of your mercy. Towards the end, I would ask you to recite one Surah Fatiha and 3 times Surah Ikhlas for all the marhumin, sponsors marhumin, especially marhuma Lotika Hassan and marhum Sayyid Bakar Hussain. Surah Fatiha. Bismillah ar-Rahman Inshallah, we'll conclude with this dua in this month of Ramadan. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Ya Ali, Ya Azim, Ya Ghafur, Ya Rahim. Anta ar-Rabbul Azim alladhi ليس كمثله شيء وهو السميع البصير وهذا شهر عظمته وكرمته وشرفته وفضلته على الشهور وهو الشهر الذي فرضت صيامه علي وهو شهر رمضان الذي أنزلت فيه القرآن هدى للناس وبينات من الهدى والفرقان وجعلت فيه ليلة القدر وجعلتها خيرا من 1000 شهر فيا ذا المن ولا يمن عليك من علي بفكاك رقبتي من النار في من تمن عليه وادخل الجنة برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. Inshallah, tomorrow we will start the program at 7 p.m. with the group recitation of Holy Quran. Inshallah, you can join us. For 45 minutes, we'll have the group recitation followed by a brief tafseer. And then, inshallah, we'll pause until 9 p.m. We'll start with dua iftitah followed by the speech. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.